Great.
And I know you're excited about our guest today.
Yeah, super excited about our guests. I had the pleasure of meeting them last year at a conference. And I just it was absolutely just adored the work that they were doing for small to medium-sized businesses and helping them with their big impact. So today I'd love to introduce to our audience here today, Miss Terry Simmons, the president of Illinois Minority Business Development Agency here in Chicago. But their impact extends far beyond just to Chicago, Illinois. They help out a lot of firms in central to Midwest too. So thanks, Terry. I appreciate you for coming on today.
You're welcome, Chris. I'm excited to be here with you all today to talk a little bit more about what we do at the Illinois MBDA. So, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for being a part of our summit and continuing to utilize our services. So, I thank you so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm born and raised on the south side of Chicago. Went to university, really got my start in entrepreneurship. And for me it was trying to understand how to get the right access to the
Mhm.
resources. How do I start this LLC or this corporation? How do I get funding? So these are really big questions that I was sort of trying to figure out. And if it wasn't for the help of like organizations like yourselves, um, certainly that education piece would sort of be missing, right? Certain folks having that university experience, right? So they may not have been to a business school or MBA. So just tell us a little bit, just high level, about sort of what is the organization and what it does, uh, before we kind of hop into your story.
So, Chris, yeah, so the Illinois Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. We are a resource for any business, socially, economically disadvantaged business, to provide technical assistance. We help businesses get access. You mentioned access. So we help them
Mhm.
get access to those things that may not normally be just readily available, or they may not know about. So
Mm.
we are an organization that's funded in part by the U.S. Department of Commerce. So there's about 40 minority business development agency centers spread out throughout the United States. And so mostly every state has one. We even have them in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so
Wow.
we help businesses get access to those resources. If you are looking for help with your certification and you don't know how to do that, we provide that technical assistance. If you're looking to get access to capital, don't understand the paperwork, don't know where to go to look for the capital that's right for your business. All capital is not right. All loans are not right
No,
for every
that's
business.
real.
So we help businesses work through some of those things that they might not necessarily know themselves, because business ownership is it's a challenge in itself. So we help you kind of, what I like to say, carry the water, right? So you don't have to
Mhm.
carry it by yourself.
I think I think it's very, very important to have those resources. And it's a very fulfilling being part of this organization for you, what you do?
Absolutely. We come in contact, businesses seek us out for all types of things. Now, our businesses are not startups, so we normally don't work with startups, but we partner with other resources like the Small Business Development Centers, the Women Business Development Center, and other agencies that serve folks that's just in that idea stage.
Right.
But yeah, it's very rewarding because businesses of all industries. So you get to learn a lot about different industries. You get to learn a lot about different parts of the state. Different regions have different types of concerns and different challenges. So we get to partner with other resources throughout the state that help us to be able to serve those businesses. We are a small group. I only have 4 people, and we have consultants that work with us, but we partner. One of the, out of my background, Chris said he was going to talk about my background a little bit, but my background, I spent a lot of time in governmental affairs, economic development, customer service.
Mhm.
So my network has grown over the years. And so I'm able to pull on those resources to help me to be able to serve our businesses. And also some of those resources to help secure contracts from certain
Yeah.
buyers that I've built the relationships with.
Yeah, that person, it must be incredibly fulfilling. And I can imagine for you, it's like no day is the same, walking around in new businesses, new great ideas. So with your background, right? You mentioned you were in government affairs, helping with economic development. How did you get your start with the organization, and what led you to your practice today?
Okay, so my story is started in Alabama, in a rural town. I grew up on a farm, third generation. My grandmother
Mm.
bought the farm in the early 50s, and a lot of that land is still in our family today. So I have been working and an entrepreneur all my life. I
So your
started out
blood.
on a farm at birth. But fast forward, I worked for ComEd for 27 years. And I started as a clerk, and then I worked my way up into management. And I got an opportunity based upon the type of work and the type of employee that I was, a high potential employee. I was able to navigate and take on a lot of roles that I wanted to take on. So I was able to take on a role in economic development and in government economic development. So that started my entrepreneurial genes. I
Mm.
guess it reinvigorated my entrepreneurial genes.
Right.
And so when I started working with businesses throughout this state, it it refueled my passion. And so as I was working with the businesses, I had an aha moment and I thought about my skill set and how could I take what I had and start a business and help to solve some problems. So I moved into a governmental affairs role in Commonwealth Edison. And so our CEO saw that there was an opportunity. Actually, me and three other women from the Aurora community pitched the idea that there was no resources or very limited resources for women in the Aurora land community. So we pitched the idea to the CEO of the Women's Business Center in Chicago. What if there were funds that we could get in Aurora to start a women's business center? So
Awesome.
fast forward, the Women's Business Center was able to secure those funds, expand out into Aurora, and our CEO put me on a special project to get that program up and going. So as I was working on that project, I realized that corporate America was no longer where I needed to be. I needed to be
Mm.
in business development. So I took an early retirement from ComEd and I expanded the Women's Business Development Center out of Chicago to Aurora. And so in 2020, I think COVID started to happen.
Okay.
The December before, I was working with the Women's Business Development Center. I did that for about 2 years, and I put in my resignation. And then COVID happened, and I was like, "Oh my God, where am I going to get clients from?" Because I wanted to just
Mm.
start and really go full time in my own business.
Yeah, that's a
Now
tough
COVID
time
has
to
happened.
start,
You're
right?
doing training. How are you going to do training when that's your bread and butter? Butter. How are you going to do that? So I was fortunate enough that the Women's Business Development Center needed someone to continue the programming during COVID to serve those businesses impacted by COVID. So they gave me my first contract for my business.
That's
And
awesome.
so then after that, in 2021, because of the work that I've done in the community, Congressman Bill Foster's team saw that there was a grant opportunity through the U.S. Department of Commerce. And they pushed it out to me and they said, Terry, you've been doing a lot of great work in the community. If you want to apply for this grant, here's an opportunity. Let us know, and we'll write you a letter of support. So I applied for the grant, not knowing very much, just starting in my grant writing skill, just building that skill set. I wrote the grant and I won it, and that's how I ended up
Wow.
being the operator of the Illinois Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. So
So this is really just kind of stars aligned, and the universe said, "Hey, you want to help some more businesses? I'll help you expand your
yeah,
impact." All right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I absolutely love it. So when you first started, it was just you as an agent, you as the agency, and you had to recruit your initial team.
Yes,
Okay, awesome. And
yeah.
so when you first started, what was kind of that initial goal then versus to how that evolved to now?
So when I first started having a background in leading teams, so I have a graduate degree in organizational leadership, and so I've led hundreds of people in my career. So the challenge was identifying someone with a skill set that could take on this role because me as the president, day-to-day operations and serving clients, because that's how you met Regina. I don't necessarily do the coaching because that's not a part of my role.
Right.
um, but finding someone with a skill set that understood grant management, that's one of the most challenging pieces of the work. And that's why we work with a lot of people on grants and a lot of businesses because there's so many pieces to understanding writing the grant, but then you got to manage it. And there's a lot of reporting, there's a lot of requirements. So finding the right fit that can take on that role to make sure that we are meeting the outcomes for the grant. Because there are audits, when you have grants, people say that's free money. There is no free money.
And then,
There's a
right, there's
lot of
always
work
something
that goes along
associated.
with that. So just finding the right skill set to be able to do that. So now prior to Regina, to be transparent, I had two executive directors.
Mm.
One of them was that we started out was wonderful and was able to take us to where we needed to go after the first year, and then realized there was other things that they wanted to do in their career. Another one, not so great, but then we were able to identify the wonderful Miss Regina Smith that we have
Yes.
now. So yeah, I mean, challenges, business owners have a lot of challenges, and that's just a labor challenge. Can you imagine the financial challenges, all of these other things that comes
It's all
along?
kind of
I
So
comes
mean,
to a head.
and there's so
Yeah.
much for businesses. What businesses do you guys serve? With the grants and different things? What kind of, you said you pass it on to someone else that they're in the idea phase. What types of businesses do you serve?
So if someone is just in the idea stage and they're not sure where they want to go with their idea and they need to develop it and build a business plan out and things like that, those are normally clients that we pass on to our partner agencies. Our businesses already are generating revenue, ideally 100,000 or more, but we'll work with a business if they're not. Say, for example, couple of years ago, we had a business and he was a business owner. He was born in another country and he was trying to
Mm.
get certified. So his birth certificate was giving him was the agencies was having challenges that he was trying to certify with. They were having challenges with his birth certificate. Because I had someone on my team that had the skill set to know how to navigate through that, they were able to work with him, help him get his certification. He was a new business owner, but he had a $1.5 million contract waiting for him.
Mhm.
So that's a newer business that we will work with because we know that you're already at the stage where you're ramping up and you're building capacity. But if you're like, oh, I don't know what I want to do, I'm not sure, those are the people that we're sent to our partner agencies. And the type of businesses that we serve, any industry. So you can be in the food industry, you can be in construction, you can be in engineering, you can be, professional services. We serve businesses in all industries.
Wow. And that's fantastic. So you kind of evaluate those things sometimes to say,
Yes.
well, it's the right fit, but you are able to connect them to somebody else if it's not the right fit.
Yes, absolutely. And the first thing we do when businesses come to us, and Chris had experienced this with this, we sit down with the business and we do a needs assessment, identify what is it that you're looking to do, and then we help create the path on how we're going to help you achieve that goal. So it's lots of communication has to happen.
Mm.
And businesses have to be accountable. And that's one of the challenges because businesses, you're spending your time working in your business and understanding that it's important that you step away and work on your business,
So true.
educate yourself, understand where the resources are so that you can continue to grow. Because if you don't do that, you can become stagnant because you're not keeping up with what's going on in the marketplace. And that's very critical.
Yeah, no, that is no, that you just hit on a super important point, which I talk to a lot of founders on, which is, when you start your business, you're hungry, you're working in the business all the time, but when things change and shift, rarely do we step away from that,
Mhm.
take the bird's eye view and really work on the business. And can you tell me a little bit more about uh so working on that business part as it relates to getting your certifications and getting
Mhm.
sort of additional licensing so that you can bid for larger contracts? Could you play a little more into that?
Absolutely. So from a certification standpoint, there are many types of certification. There's a women business enterprise certification. There's a minority business enterprise certification. There's 8A where you can get contracts with the federal government through the
Mm.
state of Illinois. There is BEP, there's different types of certification and different states may have their own type of certification. So that is understanding what those certifications are, and even if you need those in your business. So, say for instance, we are launching a new tool, and it's going to be our own marketplace. And so businesses, you don't necessarily have to be certified to play in that marketplace. And we're going to launch that at the summit. And the summit is another tool for you to use those certifications, because you can, at the summit, we're going to match businesses with the opportunity. So we'll have buyers there. And businesses that
Mhm.
send us their capability statement, we'll match them early and give them a time where they can sit down with a buyer that's looking to purchase what they're selling, so that they can have that conversation. We call it business speed dating. So we'll give you
I love
about
that.
10, 15 minutes to sit down with a buyer, and you can bring your capability statement, if you have that, or your impact statement, and this is your resume of what you've done, and you can sit down for 10 or 15 minutes and talk to a buyer about what it is that you supply and why they need to purchase your items, why your items are ideal for their organization. So those certifications or tools that where you can land contracts. Again, there are some buyers, large corporations, federal government, that require certain types of certification.
Mm.
Nevertheless, when you're dealing with a lot of municipalities, educational institutions, large manufacturing firm, they may not require certifications. So it's just understanding, and that's why businesses come to us, understanding where are you trying to go, how do you get there, and what do you need in your toolkit in order to help you build capacity and scale your business.
What types of certifications are you talking about? Like that they can get?
So if you're a veteran, there's veteran certifications. So
Mm.
that will set you apart,
Right.
because there are projects that's set us, I won't say set aside, but there's a certain amount of projects that corporations, the federal government, and others, they want to make sure that veterans have an opportunity to um, take to get those contracts within their business. So there's VBE, Veteran Business Enterprise, Minority Business Enterprise, so it's MBE certification, and then a WBE is Women Business Enterprise. I have WBE, and I also have a WOSB, and that these are national certified, nationally recognized certifications that you would put on your capability statement. So depending on who you want to do business with, it may be required that you have that certification. Say, for
Mm.
instance, if you want to do business with energy companies, most of
Right.
them require that you have some type of certification, minority business enterprise certification, women business enterprise certification, because it sets you apart. With those certifications, there are certain things that paperwork that you have to have. And so that's one of the things that we work businesses through, because there's about 40 or 50 documents, and those documents may not all apply to you. And so what happens, a lot of businesses, they shy away from certification because when they see that, oh wow, I got to have all of these things.
Yeah.
And it's normally not as hard as they think. And once you get those designations or those certifications, you can get into doors that others are not able to get into.
Yeah, because you talk a little more about those common misconceptions around grant writing and getting those certifications, because I ran into that same thing where I was like, oh, okay, I just like fill out one form, right? And I'm done for the minority owned business owner. But no, there's actually a much more involved kind of process involved.
Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit more about, those misconceptions and what business owners and pitfalls they need to avoid as they're thinking about certifying their business?
So certification, once you become certified, okay. Most businesses think once they become certified, there's going to be this flood of business that's going to come your way.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not how it happens. You still have to work on your business. You have to attend summits like we're having on March 13th at Malcolm X College, where you get in front of buyers, you bring your capability statement or your impact statement, and then you pitch your business there. So you pitch your business and the fact that you have your certification and that you're ready to these buyers. You can send out your resume or your capability statement to these buyers as well to set up meetings and the certification on your capability statement. So I don't know if you can see it on my capability statement, but you'll see here, I have WeBank
Mm-hmm.
on my past performance, differentiators, I'm certified. So that sets me apart. So you can send this capability statement or impact statement out to potential buyers and say, hey, here I am. Let's meet and talk about what I'm able to provide for you. How can I help you solve this problem of
Yeah.
services and goods that you're looking for?
No, this is incredibly awesome. This is information that, people are just don't know about, right? And you would think, a simple Google search away would be enough, but it really does take a dedicated professional like yourself or partner really to help them guide them through that process. I think that's super important. It's really helped me out in my business, especially too. What are some of those success stories that you've seen maybe recently with that you've been working in an organization that you may be excited to share about?
Oh, wow. We have a number of success stories. Chris, you are a success story.
Oh, thanks. A lot of
Because, when you've impacted a business or someone in a way, they want to share it. So the fact that you wanted to share what we've done for you, that's a success story. And I really appreciate that.
you got
It
it.
means a lot. If you have LinkedIn, you can go to my webpage or the Illinois MBDA. We have a number of success stories that's running right now. Another business that came to us through the summit.
Mm,
He has secured a number of contracts and
mm,
build capacity in his business just from coming to our summit. Um, we have, oh my goodness, on our website, we have a number of success stories. We have several businesses that we work with. I just shared the success story about the gentleman who got the $1.5 million contract as a
right.
result of him getting certified. So those are just some of the success stories that we've had. I had a woman that I started working with when I was at the Women's Business Development Center. She just had an idea and she had these desserts, Silver Spoons desserts. Now she has a
No.
manufacturing firm on the south side of Chicago. And she has contract with American Airlines and a bunch of other contracts. So those are some of the things that we've done just to help businesses just move the needle, move
Yeah.
to that next level. Yeah.
No,
Wow.
that's
It's
awesome.
fantastic, Chris. I'm glad you were able to we were able to highlight this stuff because now let's say you're in another area of the country. We are a nationally syndicated radio show and even international. There are organizations like yours across the country. What is the
Absolutely.
website for those people that are not in the Chicago area?
You can go to the U.S. Department of Commerce website, MBDA, Minority Business Development Agency.
Mm,
We are a codified agency. MBDA was started in 1969 by President Nixon. It was the
mm,
first business development agency, although it was just codified in 2021 by the Biden administration. But it was the first agency that was put together to help bridge the gap of getting access for socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. So you can just go right to the MBDA website. And if you want to learn more about us, you can go to www.strategicexceptions.com. And that you will find my company, which is Strategic Exceptions Professional Consulting. The Illinois MBDA landing page is there. Also, I have a nonprofit, and with our nonprofit, we work with incarcerated individuals, helping them find doing a job readiness program, helping them find work opportunities for work once they're released, so that their
mm.
chances of returning back to jail is lessened. So yeah, and we look forward to working more with you, Chris. And again, I extend an invitation to everybody to attend our summit on March 13th at Malcolm X College in Chicago.
All right.
Free parking, breakfast, and lunch is available as
Oh
well.
yeah, they're gonna be there for that.
All right. So, Chris, final question you have.
Yeah, what are just some last bits of insights that you want to leave the audience, whether you're a new or existing business owner today?
So when start make sure you have a plan or a roadmap on how you are operating your business. Your business, and I don't like to say business plan because a lot of people, it becomes fearful because a business plan is a document with a lot of parts. I
Yeah.
also use what's called a business canvas model. It helps you flush your ideas out better, but have an idea of what you want to do in your business. Write it down, make sure it's written, and then take the time to reflect on where you started and where you are. Try to do that every 6 months because that helps to drive you forward. Then make sure you seek out resources like the Minority Business Development Agency, the Small Business Development Centers, the Women's Business Centers, other agencies, their SCORE, and most of our services are free because we're funded in part by a grant through the federal government. So seek us out. Use us for as a resource because we're here and we're national. And I appreciate you guys having me on the show today.
That's
This is
fantastic.
incredible. Thank you so
Tremendous
much.
story. Tremendous story. All right. That was, and Chris, where can we find information on you? We can go first of all to uxbright.com and also savantrepreneur.com, right?
Absolutely. Just replace the EN with Savant and savantrepreneur.com.